Hi guys, and welcome to the Boldly Ambitious podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Liddy.
And I'm Hazal.
We're doctors, entrepreneurs and founders in our 20s.
And this is a space for the ambitious girlies chasing big dreams and building bold lives. Liddy, how do you feel today?
Guys, I'm gonna be so honest with you. I am so tired today. To be fair, we really had a back-to-back week. You know, like speaking engagements, creator fest, bloody networking, like our life depends on it. So it's been a very, very draining week, but a very good week as well. I think a lot of the spaces we were in were quite cool.
Draining in a positive way.
Yeah. But
maybe there's a word for that, but
I don't know. Yeah. But regardless, guys, I'm going to bring you a really good episode today.
We promise.
But if I waffle or I go on a tangent, it's because I am tired.
Yeah. And I feel like today's episode is going to be one that's going to call out everyone. You, me, you.
I don't know if I have the energy levels to be called out today.
No, we're kicking ourselves when we're down at the moment. We're going to be talking about how to lock in, how to stop procrastinating, how to stop overthinking, and finally start chasing the life you want to live.
Clock it.
Because let's be honest, your dreams aren't going to come to life if they stay in a notes app, are they?
Yeah.
No. So going to jump in straight with the first question, which is, why do you think so many ambitious women struggle to take action even when they know what they want? Even when they know it.
Is this a question for me? Okay, why do so many ambitious women struggle to take action even when they know what they want? Do you know what it is? I think it's because I know from my experience, I think ambitious women, not speaking for everyone, but ambitious women tend to be perfectionists at times. We want things to be done well.
Yeah.
And we hold ourselves to a certain level of excellence, a certain standard of excellence. So I think before execution, we believe that there are certain steps that needs to be put in place or certain things that we need to ensure certain things that we need to, what's the word I'm trying to say? Or certain things that we have to get done before we start doing
Guys, Liddy's having difficulty speaking.
Oh my God.
I think what she's trying to say is that everything needs to be planned. Step 1 to 10 needs to be planned before you start execution. Yeah. And I think the reason for that is because fear of failure.
Oh,
especially publicly. As perfectionists, as high achievers, there's almost this internal and external rational fear that no one can see me fail. I can't see me fail, but also no one externally can see me fail either. And that's why you might know you want something and you might, know what you need to do, but you feel like you need to plan every single potential hurdle so that once you do commit to it, there's no chance of failure, because one, you'll feel like you let yourself down, but also you'll be almost embarrassed of failing publicly.
Which is a shame, because I feel like, that phrase online that's like, a winner is just a failure that tried one more time. Failure is a key.
That is so good.
Failure is a key ingredient in order to achieve a certain level of success. But I think because there's so much shame surrounding it, a lot of people have such a great aversion to it. But I think one of the things that I've learned on this journey of kind of building as entrepreneur, content creator, charity co-founder, is that you need to familiarize yourself with the feeling of failure, because it's going to happen. You're going to try and things aren't going to always work out, or you won't get the particular outcome you wanted. But without sounding corny, you learn so many lessons because of that. And I'm not gonna act like I enjoy failing. As a high achiever, a super ambitious person, I still do not like failing. I don't like when I plan to do something and it doesn't work out. I think it's just human nature to some extent. But when I am taking a risk or trying to build or making a certain decision to pivot or refine something for the greater good of my dreams, I am prepared to fail, or I am prepared to not get the outcome I wanted. But because I bet on myself and I believe in my skill set, I believe in my ability to bounce back, I'm okay to take that risk and try again if needed. And I think that's a mentality that, if you do want to build boldly and chase big dreams, it's a mentality that I think is important to adapt along the way.
Guys, I've just realised one of my earrings are missing, as you can see. So I'm just going to slowly take this one out.
They weren't even going to see the other earring has out.
I just, we're sharing everything today. I'm just going to take this out. And I think, what you said there is really important, because overall, I think it's better to take imperfect action than to stay stuck in preparation mode forever.
Wow.
Like, how long do you want to stay in preparation mode? And it's one of those things, 5 years down the line, would you rather look back and say, I'm glad I tried that, even though it didn't work out, rather than I wish I just tried. I wish I just took the first step. So even though it's difficult and much more easier said than done, I think we need to just let go of perfectionism to a certain extent, because you don't want perfectionism to hold you back from your potential, essentially.
Exactly. That's so true. Like, when, especially with me and you, I feel like we are people who we share our wins online, right? Getting onto the property line in our early 20s, getting all these amazing opportunities with global brands, achieving this and doing that. But I think one thing I love about what we try to do online is to show the lows, the highs, and the lessons and the failures we're learning along the way. Because at the end of the day, when you choose to take risk, not everything is always going to work out, and there's always a process. So I think you just need to embrace the fact that failure is not unique to you specifically. And also, failing isn't an identity. It's a process and it's an experience, and everyone has that process and experience. The more brave and courageous you are to take certain steps for your future, the more likely you are to deal with certain failures, and actually the bigger the potential failure. But where there is the risk to fail largely, there's also a good risk to have success on a large scale. Do you get what I mean? Like, as two people who we documented our entire journey through medical school, I remember when we were opening our final year med school exams, I was like, Hazal, what if we fail? This would be the most embarrassing thing to put on the internet. But we have to show up and tell people whether we failed or passed, because we documented our entire journey, and you know, by God's grace, we ended up passing. But if we failed, I think it wouldn't have taken away all the amazing things we gained by sharing our journey for this 5 years and documenting it authentically.
And I'm sure you might mind me saying, but you know, when you did share with our audience that you failed your third year exams, it took a lot of gut just to put that on the internet. But once you did, it almost unlocked a new level of authenticity and a new level of just like our audience really appreciated that, because there were so many people who could also relate to that, right? Med school is not easy. Of course, like it's normal to have hiccups here and there. And once you did share that, I think it just showed our audience that at the end of the day, we're all human, and we can all, you know, fall down sometimes, but we can also get back up.
Exactly.
And, you know, one of the sayings that my sixth form teacher said that still sticks with me, Miss Tumulty, shout out to her, is life is not a straight line graph. And it's such a basic saying, right? But there's so much weight to it, because life isn't a straight line graph. There will be ups, there will be downs. It's more like a roller coaster. But at the end of the day, if you keep pushing, the overall, you know, direction the line goes will be upwards, right? So yeah, guys, just, I know it's difficult, but you got to just do it, and you'll really appreciate it.
And also, can I add another point as well about, you know, why do we get stuck in preparation mode? I think it's because a lot of us think that preparation is productive, and I think to some extent it is at times. Preparation can be productive, but I think that there's a thin line between, you know, it comes to a point where the preparation becomes procrastination, and I think you need to have the ability to know when it's time to kind of be like, this is not moving the needle, it's just appeasing my ego and making me feel like I'm building something, when in reality your notes page is getting more and more filled up, but nothing's actually coming to fruition because you don't want to do the hard work. It's comfortable to type on your notes page every day and, you know, pretend you're gonna rebrand and pretend you're gonna lock in and build something, but it comes a point where we need to put the notes app to the side and actually, you know, apply to that role, post that social media post, or take the really scary step you're avoiding through preparation. So I think that's another thing. It's about comfort. It's comfortable to prepare privately in your own room than to put yourself out there or to take the steps you need to take audaciously.
Productive procrastination is something you mentioned in one of our earlier episodes, and it's really stuck with me, because we just think of productivity as just, you know, I'm just getting things done, but productivity can also be procrastination if you're not doing it correctly, and that's a trap that a lot of us can fall into, especially if there's that fear of making the next step. So you got to check yourself, look yourself in the mirror, and really understand what is it that's holding you back, because at the end of the day, we want all of you to strive for big dreams and actually get them done, not just get stuck at the striving or the thinking stage.
Yeah, it's not just about I'm getting things done, but it's what are you getting done? You need to audit that and analyze that to see if it's sufficient and moving the needle.
So Liddy, what does it mean to actually lock in? Like, what does that look like for you? How does Liddy lock in?
I don't know, the way I lock in, I don't know if it's healthy or if I can carry on.
As I asked that question, I was like,
guys, the way I lock in is actually not normal. You know? It's not normal. And
if only you guys knew.
You know what? I wouldn't recommend the way I do it, because I think the way I do it, I'll be honest, you know, being honest, I think it borders unhealthy to a certain extent. Because when you really want something and you're just super ambitious and you have all these dreams, you know, it's about hustling. I think locking in is about making a decision that, you know what, you're going to dedicate some hours, some effort and energy towards something and hustle in order to get the solution. It can manifest in different ways, whether it's through gym, through education, through business. It's kind of up to you, the situation or the context within which you want to lock in and hustle and get things done in order to achieve a certain outcome. But I know for me, locking in just looks like going for everything I want no matter what. And I think the no matter what, I'll be honest, I think at times it does kind of steer into at all costs, I will get what I want. And that can result in me at times working at maybe unhealthy hours, or maybe me not always extending the best grace to myself if I'm putting so much effort towards something and it's not getting the result I want. But I think through time, through, working with like Hazal or even amazing people in my network and my community, locking in in a healthy manner has now looked like, for me, having a certain amount of hours each day where I commit to doing certain things, but also having time to decompress, to reflect, to ensure that I have the right attitude to achieve a certain thing. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you are. But I think what you mentioned there is good, because even like locking in is a skill, and being able to do it in a healthy way is something that's built over time. I think especially with social media, it can sort of perpetuate this idea that locking in has to be unhealthy, or like striving for your dreams, it can only happen in an unhealthy manner, whether that be waking up at 5 a.m, sleeping at 2 a.m, like all these lifestyle sort of changes that are not sustainable, number one, but also will mean that when you do get to the stage you want to get to, will it be worth it? Because you would have almost broken yourself in the time that it took you to get there. So I think locking in a healthy way is more about, you know, building consistent habits instead of relying on motivation. We know motivation can always run dry, but if you have consistent habits, whether it's I'm going to block out every evening 7 to 9 p.m. to work on this specific thing, or every weekend I'm going to have a recap of the last week and figure out what went well and what I need to do better for the next week. These small changes in your day-to-day activities will help build consistent life habits to ensure that when your motivation is low when working on this dream that you're striving for, you have the consistent life habits that will get you through it.
Yeah, so you're essentially saying that locking in is associated with discipline, choosing to be more disciplined than you normally are, or if you're someone who normally isn't disciplined, to lock in means to become disciplined and to kind of go hard for your goals and your dreams or whatever it is you need to do. But I'll be honest, one thing you said that I kind of want to touch on, you said that there's a healthy way to lock in and X, Y, Z. And while I agree, I do think locking in, I don't know if it's something that's meant to be sustained. Like, I don't know if it's I think when people say lock in, I think they mean this Q4, this season, this quarter, I'm going to go all in. And then in the next season, I might trickle down a bit. I might slow it down a bit and find sustainable habits to ensure that I have constant success. But I think I associate locking in with the initial spark, the initial hustle, the initial discipline. I don't know if for me it's meant to be something that's continually sustained. What do you think?
I think you make a good point there. I guess it's more about the initial stage, right? Just to get you over the bump that's like, or the hump that's keeping you back. But I think following on from that, if you are consistently staying at that same level of this is how hard I should work, I think you will inevitably burn out. Like an example of that is when we were preparing for our A-level exams. We locked in at the start of the year, and then we just kept at that same level of striving. And I'm not saying it was necessarily the worst thing in the world, because we got to where we want to get to, but I stand by the fact that I could have got into medical school without burning myself out as much, because 10 hours in a library, like for like 6 months continuously, meant that by the end of it, I got into med school, but I was drained. My mental health was on the floor, and that's probably one of the most difficult times I've had in terms of in my academic life. So I think you can lock in, but then once you lock in and you get the momentum going, you can find more healthy habits to sustain that, because we're not in this for the short term. We're not just trying to achieve a goal within 3 months and then call it a day. We want to continuously build. We want to continuously get better, and we want to continuously strive for a life that strive for a life that we want to live. So that can only happen in a sustainable way, because otherwise, once you get to the end goal, there will be sort of no life left in you to live the life that you've been working so hard for. So I think it's a mixture of what we're saying.
Yeah, no, I like the way you added that. That is true.
If you guys are enjoying this episode so far, please make sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on an audio platform like Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, guys. There's like hundreds of you listening and watching, but only a few reviews on Spotify, so we need to change that. Please make sure you leave a 5-star review on Spotify. And today we are filming in the Myriad Studios in London, which is this lovely studio that we've been filming our podcast in. So if you are looking for a studio to film in London as well, please make sure to go check them out. The link will be in the description box down below. So now let's say that our ambitious girlies have locked in. We all know that feeling of locking in, getting through your to-do list, feeling really proud of yourself, but then slowly the work ethic drops, the motivation drops. And in these scenarios, how do you actually stay disciplined when your motivation is trickling away?
Oh my God, it's actually so funny you said that, because I actually made a LinkedIn post about this.
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I made a LinkedIn post about this. Literally,
this was
week.
not planned.
Oh my God, wait, there's a word for it. Hold up, there's a word for it.
We're waiting.
Let me find it. So it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Okay.
And it's this graph that talks about what is on the y-axis, your confidence and your competence. And is essentially when you start something, you're at this peak and you're like, yes, I can do it. I can get to that subscriber count. I can apply for that role. I can do X, Y, Z. But then eventually, as time goes on, a downhill begins where you start to realize, oh, this is actually harder than I thought. And then you go through the valley of despair where you start thinking, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I was being, a bit too ambitious and unrealistic with what I thought I could achieve. But if you stay in the valley of despair for long enough, eventually a peak starts to begin, and that's the light bulb moment of, you know what, I think I'm getting the hang of this. And then eventually you get to step 5, which is, wow, I was made for this. The announcement post on LinkedIn, etc. And when it comes to doing something new, whether it's developing a new skill, putting yourself in a new environment, or building something new, every single person is going to go through this effect.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Stephen Bartletts of Spotify or the Grace Beverleys, everyone has to go through this in order to make it out the other end. And I think when you are in the valley of despair, I guess it's just about remembering that it is part of the process. Like I said before about failure not being unique to you, neither is the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's not unique to you either. Everyone goes through it. So I think, accepting that first and foremost, I don't know, for me, it makes me feel like I'm not alone, and like, okay, if it's just a process, if it's just part of it, then who am I to bypass it? I might as well firm the valley of despair I'm currently in as I'm pushing through this thing I started with so much energy and realize it's actually harder than I thought. And also, I think it's also the realization that in order for something to become easy, it first needs to be hard. Like, of course, you're going to find it hard. You've never done it before. But if you stick at it long enough, it will become less of a novelty, and you will gain enough skills where the hard now becomes easy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's such a good question you ask, because I think right now I'm in a life stage where I am in the valley of despair. The despair is despairing, because of course we're building this podcast and this boldly ambitious community, but I'm also kind of launching like a personal brand consultancy business, and those are two things that I've never done before. And as high achievers, we want to be good at everything. As ambitious people, we want to achieve everything as soon as possible, but I think it's about accepting delayed gratification and being
Yeah.
okay with delayed gratification. I know patience is one of the things that I'm really having to develop during this time. But also realizing that these skills you're picking up and not receiving the, also understanding that the process you're going through and the skills you're picking up is for your future self. There are certain things you need to learn as you go through the Dunning-Kruger effect that will mean that when you get to stage 5 of, you know, LinkedIn, look what I achieved, look what I'm here to announce, you've gained enough skills that means you can sustain that success and even have the capacity to achieve even greater things when you get to the other side.
Yeah.
So I think, accept that it's the process you have to go through. Focus on the skills you're learning along the way, and understand that the other side of the tunnel exists as well. Are 3 things that I know can really help with the valley of despair. Also, funnily enough, me and Hazal were literally having this conversation downstairs where I was like, Hazal, it feels like we're trying so hard with our content, with our podcast, and the needle isn't moving as much as I'd like it to move. And one of the things that we kind of came to the conclusion of downstairs, and Hazal even gave me motivation and encouragement with, is the importance of focusing on variables you can control.
Yeah.
I can't control the algorithm. I can't control who finds our podcast and who doesn't. But what I can control is putting out really great content, putting out really valuable content that makes an impact in other people's lives, optimizing the quality of content we're putting out to positively influence the algorithm in our favor. But we cannot control exactly like the extent to which it's pushed out sometimes. And I think that's another thing that can help you through the valley of despair when you're getting to the other side of locking in and hustling and building.
Did you see Stephen Bartlett's recent post about him in 2017? No, you didn't see it. Oh, you should. I'm going to send that post to you.
Is it on LinkedIn?
No, it was on his Instagram, probably on his LinkedIn as well. But essentially, it was a picture of him, sort of his head in his hands, like looked really sad in 2017 when he first started his podcast. And he was like, I started a podcast in my room in 2017 that no one listened to. 2017, we were just starting our A-levels. Like, that's 8 years ago. And now, 8 years down the line, he's got an amazing podcast, like top 3 in the country, millions of listeners, millions of different guests and stuff like that. And 8 years ago, he probably wouldn't have believed that his podcast was going to get this far, but he stuck at it, right? And I think that just that was good to see, because with social media, we get used to immediate gratification, or we don't always see the behind the scenes, so we think this has come easily. I think that was just a good reminder that, you know, linking with what you've said, there will be that valley of, is it the valley of
despair?
Valley of despair. Yeah. Greatly named, by the way. Valley of despair, but there will be that light bulb, and there will be the, what's the last one?
Just the you just made it moment.
Yeah,
right?
the you made it moment.
Yeah. But I think as well, you need to understand that everyone's time frame in the valley of despair is different. Everyone's time frame of waiting for things to take off and for things to hit is different. But I'm such a big believer in the compounding effect. Like, every small action you're doing and every step you're taking, it is compounding, and eventually it will come a moment where, you know, the graph or the outcome or the result you're after does take off, and you do, it may not always be the version of success you want, but it will be a version of success. Do you get what I mean, Hazal?
Yeah.
Because I think for us, for example, we had ideas and plans of where we wanted our social media to go, and 6 years down the line, it's gone to places that we didn't even plan for or we didn't even expect. So I think there also needs to be an element of being open-minded. You may not get the specific success you want. For example, like, we don't have 100k on Instagram. It's something that I always thought I wanted, but there are things that we've gained just, I don't want to say just being, but there's things we've gained while being at 70k on Instagram that we didn't even expect, we didn't even plan for.
We didn't think it was possible.
We didn't think it was possible. But it's about being open to that version of success as well. But yeah, I love what you said about the Stephen Bartlett thing, because he started in 2017 and now it's 2025. We started our content creation in 2019 and now it's 2025. And I think it's just about understanding that
what can happen in the next few years.
I was actually going to go in the angle of, like, success actually takes a while to accumulate. If we're thinking about the compounding effect, the more you do something and the more things compound, the greater the capacity through which it can take off when it does take off. So I think be okay with not getting immediate results within the first 2 months of starting something, or within the first 6 months. I know it's hard because of the times we're living in, where things happen quite instantaneously. But if there's anything I can learn from like the people who have come before us and the people right now doing great things, is it's okay if you're not an overnight success. It's okay if there's a certain journey you need to go through before you start achieving certain things or experiencing certain things.
Yeah. And I think just to link it back to the question, when the motivation is running dry because you might be in the valley of despair, make sure that you have systems in place that doesn't rely on inspiration or motivation. This can be things like, you know, habit stacking, for example, linking new habits with old ones, so it's like easier to incorporate them into your day-to-day life. And for example, celebrating the micro wins. We could be really bad at celebrating ourselves and patting ourselves on the back, especially when we feel like we're still so far away from where we want to get to. But celebrating those micro wins, no matter what they may be, might just be what you need to give you that extra push to go the next week, go the next month with whatever you're trying to achieve.
It's about setting smart goals. Like being ambitious doesn't mean you're out of touch with reality. You can still put smart goals in place. We always have this, what does SMART stand for?
I think I know now. Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time specific.
I hope that's right. But yeah, set smart goals. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Like, ambition is great. You can do whatever you want to do. Woohoo. But you can still be like in touch with reality. And with how time works and with how your day-to-day works as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Many of our girlies may have the motivation, they may have the discipline, but they're waiting for the perfect time to get started. What's the real cost of waiting for the perfect time to start chasing your dreams?
Wow. Like, the perfect time actually doesn't exist. It really, really doesn't. I think when I've received the best outcome possible from things that I've strived to do, it's when the time frame between idea and execution was the shortest. This podcast would not exist if we waited for the perfect time.
No.
Do you get what I mean? We were like, okay, we had the idea for the podcast, and then I think like a few weeks after that, I was like, you know what, Hazal, if we wait to be in a financial state to be able to afford a studio or whatever, we're never going to get started. Let's just get some equipment and film in your house.
Yeah. Don't go watch those episodes.
You've got to lower the barrier of entry and just get started. Just do it. And we did that. We started, we put our best foot forwards, and then eventually we refined things, and we're now in a new space, and now we're more refined in where we want to take the podcast. But beforehand we weren't, we didn't know what we were doing, and we still don't know what we're doing. I'm not going to lie. But we're trying our best to learn along the way, because I think we both realized that if we were to wait for the perfect moment, this podcast probably wouldn't exist for another 5 years, because there will never be a perfect moment. You just have to do it. So I think for people waiting for the perfect moment, first and foremost, that's a myth. There's no perfect moment. Whenever you think the moment's perfect, you're going to get another idea of, oh, I need to make sure that's sorted out before I begin, or stuff like that.
I don't think we've ever had the perfect moment.
Yeah, I don't think
with anything.
Yeah, no, with anything. It just doesn't exist. And when you think there's a perfect moment, when you get to that moment, you will realize, oh, maybe there's another perfect moment, and then you will procrastinate your greatness until nothing actually comes out, nothing actually happens. So I think the cost of that is your dreams, to be honest, your dreams. And it's true though, like the life you want to live, that's the cost of it, because you're going to procrastinate so much until nothing happens. And then 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're going to look at your age mates who started things when you wanted to start things and where they are now, and you're going to start regretting or start comparing yourself to them. And I don't know, if you don't want that reality for yourself, you kind of need to have the courage to just do it. It's definitely not easy depending on what you want to do, but I think you will thank in the future, you will thank you for starting in the first place. You
don't want to look 6 months down the line or 12 months down the line and say, I wish I started. You don't want that regret. And also I just feel like the longer you wait, the more your fears will creep in, the more the doubt will creep in, the more I can't do this will keep in. That's why you just got to start. And with most things you learn on the job, you can't expect yourself to know how to get better at something without actually starting it. And that's what you said with the lower the barrier of entry, right? With this podcast, we lowered the barrier of entry, and it worked out in our favor, because as we started, we knew, okay, we need to change this, we need to change that. And obviously that's not the only example. Like even with work, like being a doctor, we couldn't have said, I'm going to wait until I'm the perfect doctor to start work. We started and we learned different ways of doing things, and we exponential learning curve. But that was a good thing. We want that, and we couldn't have achieved that unless we started and we put our foot through the door. So I think, like you said, the real cost is your dreams, and the real cost is looking 5 years down the line or even 1 year down the line and living with regret, which you don't want. You really don't want.
Is that whole thing about like you don't learn to swim by staring at water? Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to dive in.
Or like staying still in water.
Right. You've got to actually do something in order to acquire certain skills. And I think it works the same with career, business, education, academia, even relationships. Like you need to give something a go in order to refine yourself along the way and get to where you want to be with a particular thing.
And I think if you are currently in this position where you are waiting for the perfect time, just sit down and think about, you know, what else could you learn in the next 6 months that will make, you know, it worth waiting. Because for the most part, unless you're doing like a course to increase your skills, if you're just waiting around, what is going to change in the next 6 months or the next even 3 months? Like, just start.
Can I go on a bit of a tangent? But it's a relevant tangent.
Okay, I'll be the judge of that.
So basically, I saw this LinkedIn post,
Back to LinkedIn.
Guys, I'm always on LinkedIn.
She's a LinkedIn
I'm barely,
warrior.
honestly, like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm mainly there to post.
If you want to get in contact with her, message her on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I mainly produce on those platforms, whereas LinkedIn, I really like consuming. Because I'm such a I love reading, you know, blog posts and all that stuff. And there was someone basically saying that ChatGPT, AI.
Okay.
Let me land.
I'm gonna let you land.
Basically saying, that, you know, with ChatGPT and AI, everyone's all like, you know, with the use of AI now, you can literally get everything you want at your fingertips in order to launch that business, in order to plan your career or your academic steps, X, Y, Z. But the issue is, because Chat gives you, that's my nickname for my ChatGPT.
That's my nickname as well.
Because Chat will give you so many different options about what you can do, it actually increases the likelihood of you getting stuck in analysis paralysis. If you know everything you can do and everything you need to do to prepare and plan for something, you're less likely to just take the action, because you're going to be stuck on ChatGPT asking it questions about, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? And the people who actually use AI in the most optimal way, you can use it for inspiration, but know when to step away and to just take action. If you keep sitting there asking ChatGPT questions on, okay, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I try this? What if I try that? What happens is you get very overwhelmed about the different options available. I'm going to give you a practical example. The personal brand consultancy business that I'm launching at the moment, when I was speaking to ChatGPT about it, there were so many options. Do coaching, sell digital products, do a membership, do this, do that. It came to a point where I got overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start, and I wanted to not start in the first place, you know? And I think that's what can happen when you try and be too prepared. Sometimes you get so prepared that you actually end up being stuck.
Almost less prepared to start.
In what route you want to take. Know enough to start. I think 60%, 70%, even 40% is enough to take a step. And I think people need to be more comfortable, not necessarily waiting to get to 100% before they kind of dive into something. Do you get what I mean?
You don't need to be at 100%, because automatically when you start, there will be things you need to change or pivot, that there will be a new 100%. So just start.
Yeah. Love that.
I'm going to give our girlies some sort of 3 more practical examples to really hit the nail on the head and give them the motivation to just get started. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Why me? Put yourself on the spot.
I've been on the spot. No, you can put me on the spot. You can put me on the spot after I put you on the spot.
Cool.
We'll both answer this question. But can you give an example of one where you waited for the right moment and you regretted it, and one where you just did something and it really paid off?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I'll think as well.
Wait, okay. An example where I waited and I regretted it, and I didn't wait and I didn't regret it, right?
Exactly. So you waited and you regretted it, and also you were just like, you just did it. You went with the momentum, you went with the flow, and it really worked out in your favor.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna still like, the best example we could both use, YouTube. Like, even starting a YouTube channel in 2019. Was it 2019 or 2019?
2019, yeah.
The best thing we ever did. Like, I think we tried to be like the whole, let's learn how to edit, let's learn how to use a camera and then start. We did try and do some of that, but it came a point where we were like, okay, we don't know everything, but we know enough, and we just started. Mate, based off of that, like, look where we are today. Do you get what I mean? We've had really crazy opportunities, like the people we've met, the friendships, the impact we've been able to make, the monetary gains, and yeah, it's completely changed our lives. Do you get what I mean? Like, we wouldn't be who we are today if we never took that first step, made a YouTube video 6 years ago. So I think that was like the best thing ever that we did in regards to not waiting for too long and just getting started because we had the idea. Something I've waited for and I regret waiting for.
I've got one if you want to.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
This one it's a bit more different, but when I moved to Coventry, obviously I had to move to Coventry for work, and I really wanted to build a community there to help me stay motivated and just help me have a social life when I'm so far away from home and my main friendship group. And that would have, really been beneficial for me, just to get me out and keep me inspired and keep me motivated with all the different, avenues of life I have. And I procrastinated it. I waited for the perfect time. I was like, oh, right now I can't because of work. Right now I can't because I'm so busy. And it meant 1 year down the line, I still hadn't built a friendship group in Coventry. And it meant that there were times where I was quite isolated there. And that did impact me both with my motivation and my creativity and my ability to go out and actually speak to people that I haven't met, essentially, met before. But finally, I did, finally. And I've just seen such a huge difference in just my energy levels and just my spark to just be a bit more social. As an adult, I feel like we get fixated on, I've got enough friends vibes, right? And I don't need to keep building and keep meeting new people. But you don't know you don't know how these new people can really impact you and help you in different aspects of life. So yeah, that's something that I procrastinated and I regret not doing a bit earlier.
And who was telling you at the time that it's something?
I knew you were going to say this. The way you were looking at me.
Though, like,
yeah,
guys,
well, I'm not perfect.
I am Hazar's number one impulsivity cheerleader. Like, just do it, Hazar. Just do it. Just do it. So I forgive you for ignoring me for a year.
Well, now you open up because I need to get you back.
Okay. I think one thing that I regret not doing earlier is becoming a part-time doctor. Yeah. And I'm someone who I'm very anti-regret. I hate, one of my biggest motivations to get things done is I do not want to regret not doing it in the future. So I don't like the feeling of regret. But yeah, that is one thing I regret. Like, I feel like when I started my first year as a doctor last year, I was very much like, I can handle it, I can do anything I put my mind to. And I think it's great to bet on yourself. It's great to be confident, and it's great to want to challenge yourself, but it's also okay if you know your limitations. It's also okay if you know your capacity. It doesn't make you less than. If anything, giving yourself that grace and that room to breathe and just honor your energy levels and your capacity allows you to, I don't know, be more productive, be more authentic, be more aligned with what you need. So yeah, when I first started working as a full-time doctor, it was honestly like one of the worst seasons of my life. Obviously nothing compares to kind of some of the things I've been through earlier this year, but yeah, last year it was really horrible. Like, I'd come back from work and I'd actually just start crying. Like,
had a terrible time.
And obviously it didn't help that I was in quite a toxic work environment at the time. I wasn't in the best team either. But I think having to be in that place, like Monday to Friday, 9 to 9, sometimes 9 to 10, rarely 9 to 5, like, it really sucked my soul. Like, it was soul sucking. Like, that's how I describe it. I definitely lost my spark. It definitely impacted my mental health. It impacted my output as well. But yeah, I'm glad that earlier this year and / end of last year, I kind of decided to honor my capacity and go down to part-time. I think at the time I was scared to fail at something. I associate it with failing. Like, oh, everyone else is doing full-time medicine. If I can't do full-time, then it means I'm incompetent. I'm incapable. But that's just not it as well. Like, how many doctors do you know that are running a full social media business on the side? Not many. So yeah, I do wish that I did it a bit earlier, but I'm happy that eventually I kind of came to a place where I was just like, you know what, like, bun the norm of being a full-time medicine.
North London's come out.
Sorry. I need to honor my capacity and honor my priorities and what I want in life and how I want to show up. So yeah, I got there eventually, but I do wish I just started medicine, not being a full-time doctor.
Yeah, and I love that you've touched on that, because you've sort of brought up a topic that we haven't really touched on in this episode, which is you can procrastinate starting something, but you can also procrastinate changing something to help you with your future goals, right? We've been touching on, starting a new passion or a new goal to get to the life you want to live. But there's also multiple instances where you actually need to stop something, or you need to change something in your current day-to-day life to help get you to where you want to get to. And that can, I guess, sometimes be a bit more challenging, because it's almost, a bit more, it requires a bit more strength and a bit more of, confidence to step away from what you're currently doing rather than to start something new. But yeah, no, thank you for sharing.
It takes courage to pivot, and I think that's something that we've kind of been echoing in many of our episodes. But I think something may not make sense on paper, but as long as it makes sense to you and where you're going and your vision, that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, you're the one living this life.
Yeah.
So you deserve to honor yourself in the best way possible and ensure that you're doing things that align with your happiness and your priorities.
And that's why you need to make sure you're walking most authentically to you. I'm echoing from a previous episode, but if you're doing something that really isn't for you, you won't have the confidence to pivot. But if you are doing something that you are confident in, that is not because of external pressures but for yourself, then regardless of the external noise, you will be confident in your decisions, and that will help you in making those life-changing decisions that others might look at differently. But that this pivot is for the greater good of the life you want to live.
Yeah, but I think not everyone is confident in a pivot that they know they should make. I think confidence is something that you build, and I think it's also it's not easy to build the courage and the confidence to pivot and to make a certain decision. I think it's easier said than done. So just because you're not confident about a decision, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for you or it's not for you. I think it just depends on the individual.
Fair enough. We normally like to end our episodes with a segment called Dear Ambitious Girlies, where we give our girlies watching a tip to take away from today's episode. So what would you like to say to our girlies today?
Why don't you take it away? I feel like I've done a lot of talking.
I was actually going to say I'm going to start, but
yeah, go on.
Okay, cool. Dear ambitious girlies, don't wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time will never come, and you never want to be in a position 6 months or 1 year down the line regretting that you didn't start earlier. So build the systems, build the consistency and the motivation you need, and just get started, and you'll figure it out along the way.
Oh, love that.
Yoga.
So I think this one is actually for me as well as anyone that this might resonate with. But dear ambitious girlies, the valley of despair doesn't last forever. And I say that because it's hard. I'm sure those listening to this who can relate to it, trying to start a certain pursuit, passion or goal. It can be something as simple as gym. It can be something academic or even business related, but it's not easy. But it's not easy for all of us. Do you get what I mean? It's a process we all need to go through in order to get to the other side. So you will get to the other side. Believe you'll get to the other side, and just push through. Without pushing through, you will never see the light that could have been, or the outcome that could have been. So yeah, just push through. Just stay in the valley of despair long enough to make it through the other side. Yeah. One thing that does help me though, I'm just gonna add that, is seeing other people who've gone through a similar process. I think that can be really encouraging, really motivating. I know I find it very inspiring when I see people who went through something similar, or who were once at a beginning stage, talk about their journey and seeing where they are right now. So yeah, don't be afraid to take inspiration from those around you as well. I know some people like to avoid social media when they're feeling a bit insecure or deflated because of comparison, but sometimes you can switch that and use it as a source of inspiration of, if they could do it, so can I. Yeah.
With that, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Honestly, I loved it. I know we started off tired. I feel like we're a bit more energized now.
Yeah, for sure. I really hope that I said useful things. I can't tell if I waffled. I can't tell.
Me neither. I need to rewatch this.
I just hope it made sense, and I hope that it helped even one person kind of walk away from this episode being like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the first step. I'm just gonna take the leap. Yeah.
Guys, make sure you share this episode with everyone who you think may benefit from it. Your sisters, your girlies, your friends, the work group chat, wherever it may be. And please, if you're watching on YouTube, please go down below, like and subscribe to the Boldly Ambitious channel. And if you're listening on an audio platform, make sure to leave a 5-star review. We're waiting. I'll give you a few seconds. There we go. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll see you in a new... Go on.
No,
No, go on. You do it. No, you do it.
we'll see you in a new episode next time.
Bye.